Hi, Dan Goodstein here. I head media and events for RPA AI. I'm joined today by Gourav Datta. He's the technology transformation leader for RPA and cognitive at British Telecom. Gourav, thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Good to see you too. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So before we jump in, why don't you tell me a little bit about your role and background?
Yep, absolutely. So I work in the central transformation team in BT called the Customer and Enterprise Transformation, where we oversee all the big strategic transformation programs across BT. My area of focus is on the robotics process automation program, and now is kind of gradually moving into exploring further technology advancements to kind of help improve our operational efficiencies. But backgrounds have always loved technology. I have been in technology transformation in the banking sector for the first 6 to 7 years of my life. And then I've moved into BT, wanted to change the sector. And then in the telco industry for the last 3 to 4 years, predominantly on technology transformation programs, working on IT transformation, vendor strategy, and data center strategy, research and innovation, and then for the last 18 months or so into robotics process automation. So that's a short me.
Great, thank you. So obviously your role involves a lot of transformation, and so I'm curious, what's relevant to a company like BT as it relates to customer transformation specifically, and how have you needed to adapt?
So I think for a company like BT, as you know, it's a monster. It's very big, and what happens with every big company is that it has a lot of legacy. There's good legacy. There's things that has worked in the past, but with more agile technologies in the world that's outside BT, that's growing so fast and that's changing so fast, so there's always a need for the company to adapt. So big focus for us. I mean, if I tell you about BT's top core strategy, it is around absolutely brilliant customer service and customer experience. It is having absolutely smashing operational efficiency to reduce our costs year on year, but in the more sustainable way, and then drive revenue growth and enter into different markets and products and portfolios. And our program very well fits into this, because the key themes that come out from our core strategy is that we need to reduce the cost to serve. We need to reduce the cost that we have to serve to our customers. We also need to be absolutely much more quicker in the way we respond to the changing needs of the market. And again, being a very siloed, vertically aligned company, it is always difficult for us to kind of serve the customer in a very agile way, and then absolutely explore new things to kind of have better revenue as well. So our program, Robotics Process Automation, essentially kind of fits into that, and kind of the digital workforce is absolutely keen underpinning the strategy. And we're kind of showing BT the ways to be more agile. We're kind of showing BT the new digital workforce that help BT drive massive cost efficiencies, but also kind of help in your overall customer experience, how to improve the journeys, how to become more accurate in the things we do, just to make our lives more simple, more personal, and brilliant.
So Gourav, you've obviously been doing this for a while there, and I'm curious, there's a big difference, and we speak about this with our members a lot, between kind of tactical, we call random acts of automation, right? Automating particular processes or silos within the organization, and scaling it enterprise-wide, certainly at the scale of an organization like British Telecom. So how is it different? How is it different doing the kind of tactical automation versus the scaling it up to size?
So tactical automation is great, and even for robotics, there's a tactical strategy that we had at the first. So you can't ever go big bang. You can't scale enterprise-wide without knowing what's it. And the biggest thing for every organization to understand is when it comes to a technology program, when it comes to a technology outcome, people need to see it to believe it. Because they all know about these big fancy stuff and driverless cars and Mars missions and stuff like that. But unless they see it, they just don't get to understand the power of a technology. So yes, definitely start small, definitely start in a tactical way, but then very easily you will see that pockets of intelligence and pockets of good work start happening in all the organization. And that's when you actually call it tactical automation. People then start doing a lot of script work or macros, which are more uncontrolled way of kind of driving automation. They have been great. They have been great in the past. But when we look back now at our estate, we see hundreds of brilliant people who are very tech savvy, who've been doing wonderful stuff. But there's a lack of focus, there's a lack of direction, there's a lack of strategy of what they want to do, there's a lack of governance of what they want to do. So especially for the robotics program, we said, yes, tactically start is fine. But the key pillars that we need to set is that the biggest thing is governance. Though it doesn't need to be something that makes you less agile, you need to have a very thin but a proper governance around what infrastructure you use, what technology vendors that you partner with, how do you do something, the methodology, the framework, the vision, the strategy will have to be driven by a center of excellence or core team which will handle that best practice in governance. That's the key difference, I think, that comes with a program like robotics and cognitive versus a more tactical program where there's silos. A couple of other things that underpins it is the end-to-end view. So I think tactical automation always is very focused around a particular small problem area, a particular system that you need to extract data from or send data to. So I think that's where robotics, when we look at robotics or a program like this, we have to look at the more end-to-end value chain. We look at process improvement, we look at tactical automation, we look at robotics, we look at cognitive. So the end-to-end process review, the holistic understanding of where things fit into the value chain, that's very critical. The last thing is bearing in mind that the business has to be as agile as the technology sector, the technology part of the company. So it's very easy that we've seen when people say, oh, the technology, the IT team needs to be agile, or a set of developers on robotics, they need to be agile. But it will not work if the whole business is not agile, because we work with our BT's infrastructure team, we have to work with the finance team, we have to work with HR team. So they all have to be agile. They all have to allow you. So when you look to scale, these are the key things that will come. Your governance will be very key. Your end-to-end view of the thing, sponsorship from the top, and then being agile overall as a company has to be very key, and not just the development team. So that's kind of the core difference between small pockets of silos of excellence, tactical automation, versus an enterprise-wide big program.
Yeah, and I'm curious, so as you guys scaled up, were there any particular roadblocks that you hit, or anything that caught you by surprise?
Massively. The biggest roadblock to making it enterprise-wide is the sponsorship at the right levels. So to everyone, BT is a horizontal. So if you are a customer of BT, you would think of BT as a horizontal, but inside the company, we're absolutely vertically aligned. So there's a number of units. Even if you think of you ordering broadband, it comes to a different team that does the sales. It comes to a different team within BT Consumer, a different team doing the billing, different team laying out the open reach engineers coming on helping. So it spans across multiple verticals, and there'll be too many people with conflicts of interests. They have their own different priorities. So to start a program which has a central governance, to start a program which has a central mandate, we always find that there'll be too many people in the organization who will have the power to say no to something. And that was our biggest challenge, because if one person says no, the whole journey gets cut at that point. Right. So the biggest challenge was the absolute sponsorship, top down. They said, this is one of our biggest focus. This is what will enable us to kind of make BT better. And then to get all the MDs, all the CFOs, all the HR people, all the operations to agree. So that has been, there'll be small technology challenges, and of course there'll be people challenges, but that sponsorship from the top, that this is a mandatory program. Whatever you do, this will have to be one of your top 3 priorities across each of the functions to get that sorted out. That was our biggest challenge.
Right. Okay. And you'll be joining a panel at our upcoming Oasis event on the AI-enabled enterprise. So what does that mean to you and the work that you're doing?
I think the key, we've just barely scratched the surface, to be honest. We've barely scratched the surface through robotics, and we are gradually moving towards a more tech-savvy, a more smarter world, and that's our ambition. I would be lying if I say that we have done it successfully. We haven't. We have scratched the surface through robotics. Yes, we've done it, but there's a lot more we can do. But the key things, the way we try to think about how we want to make our enterprise a much more AI-enabled and a smart enterprise is 3 basic pillars, is 3 basic aims. One is to absolutely have smart processes in BT and leverage technologies like robotics process automation, like desktop process automation, like BPM, the new advanced BPM plugging in with robotics, And even going back to the golden days of Lean Six Sigma. So having absolutely clear and smart processes in BT. They're simple, they're transparent, they're accurate, they're automated. The second pillar is having smart analytics. This is where we understand our customers. This is where we understand our core business. This is where our core infrastructures predict these customers. So understanding prediction of customer churn, what they want, when do they leave us, when do they come to us. So lots of analytics around what we have as terms of our assets and infrastructure, networks and predictability, and then our people, our customers, and things like, as I said, risk analysis, predictive analytics, modeling in our networks, our fault prediction, anomalies prediction algorithms in for our networks, things like IoT. That's another second pillar, which is kind of making us smart in our analytics. And the third big bucket that we're looking at is brilliant customer experience. Everything that we do operationally at the end needs to have a customer experience. You need to join that, all things, all the processes, smart processes, using smart analytics, but at the end, the customer needs to see the benefits as well. So there are programs that we're running, which are like virtual agents, trying to understand chatbots. Can it actually help customers? The way they're interacting with us, can it become better? Things like omni-channel, things like having a much more wider digital presence, capturing those data from all the kind of proliferation of the digital channels that we have, and how can we make the journeys better? How can we make the customer experience better? So our very high level thinking of our AI-enabled enterprise with BT would be around those three pillars: smart processes, smart analytics, and brilliant customer service.
So, Gourav, you're no stranger to transformation in IT. So how is AI or even automation as a whole, how is that different than the typical technology transformation you've been doing for the last 10 years?
The biggest change that I've seen is, because I was always involved in technology transformation, is lines of code. The moment there's a lines of code, it creates the boundaries. This is business who understands the market, the changing environment, and the ideas. And then the moment it comes to lines of code, they hand it over to technology, they hand it over to IT. So all of these years, I've seen business never taking an interest in IT. They just don't care. They don't want to care about it. But with programs like robotics, we've seen that the business is starting to kind of have an interest, because they know it's low code, they know it's no code at some time. So they want to take an interest in technology. And the role of IT and the role of technology, key technology players in the architecture are changing. So whereas IT used to deliver stuff, a lot of the delivery used to be with IT. They knew the lines of code. No one knew it. It was like a sacred black box. No one knew what to do with them. To an era where business is doing stuff for IT, and IT's role is changing. They're becoming a facilitator in it. They're becoming a broker. They're becoming more of an integrator, facilitator, to allow business to do stuff more agile, more quickly, and which aligns to the business. So I think the biggest difference personally that I have seen is this shift from traditional IT waterfall ways that IT has always delivered programs, to where the business is taking much more interest in driving things in a much more agile way, in a much more collaborative way with IT, and the roles slightly changing, that the balance is slightly shifting because of these new technologies like robotics and chatbots, where it's all training, where it's not coding, where it's all configuration and training. So to me, that has been kind of personally the kind of biggest change that I have seen. Though I would say there's a lot of negative things that come with it as well, because IT always used to have, we used to have less hype around things. So when people used to give tasks to IT, they used to expect it to take you a year to deliver. But with technologies like this, because there's so much hype that business can do it, you can deliver robotics, like every 2 days a process can come out. It's not that true. So I think we've overbaked agile and business-led, and things can be done in weeks and months. And it's still complex. It's still not that easy. As I said, it's a collaboration with IT and business. But yeah, one of the negative things is that this has been sold as extremely positive, and it isn't. There has to be balance in people understanding how much it can deliver and what it cannot. So yeah,
it's not as easy as it looks, right?
It's not, and that's the challenge. IT always, people knew it would take time. People knew it would be a year. I give you a requirement, you come back after 9 months to deliver something for me. But with this, the expectation, the ambition is like gone massively up. It's like, you need to deliver this in 2 days, because I've gone to a conference in some part of the world and someone said they churn out robots every 2 days. So you have to live with that.
Hopefully that wasn't our conference that someone said that. So listen, my last question is around kind of the next couple of years. What's your goal, and where do you hope to be, maybe if we're talking 2 years from now?
So as I said, our biggest aim is to make BT an AI-enabled enterprise. And I said our biggest focus will be, of course, to drive robotics, but to also look at some of the complementing technologies to kind of get end-to-end view of our process, how to make it better for our customers and our employees. So as I said, our big focus would be those 3 pillars around smart processes, analytics, and customer experience. We're seeing a massive change in the way we interact with our technology partners, our vendors, the way we used to do outsourcing and offshoring. Those stuffs are massively changing as well with the advent of robotics and other cognitive technologies, where the kind of the early 2-3 generations of outsourcing and offshoring, it was very much lift and shift, and people started being very much what the customers, or what we wanted was very different from what our vendors would give us, and there would be a gap in the transparency, there would be gap in understanding their business model, getting innovation from them, how to manage data. So all of these problems that we've seen, we are hoping that as we move to a more smart and an AI-enabled enterprise, the way we deal with some of our technology partners would also change. That ecosystem, the way we deal with that ecosystem would change. We would have more control within in-house, we'll have more understanding of the processes, things will become more simple, it will become more transparent, and there will be an overall need for us and all our technology partners to be innovative and kind of push this agenda, kind of serve our kind of actual corporate strategy.
Makes sense. Gourav Datta, the lead of RPA Cognitive at BT, thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you at the Oasis event coming up.
Thank you so much for having, and look forward as well